Good morning, Isai. Can you hear me? You still mute. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Asia. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Having
I
some
can hear you as well.
Camera issues, so I might not be on the screen.
All right. Thank you, sir.
There we go.
Very pretty. Ain't bad for you. Good morning, Anne Marie. Wait a second. There you go. Good morning and welcome to the Regional Wastewater Advisory Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order and then we'll move to the roll call. All right. Let's see. Alejandra Frejo Arcade. Here. Anne Marie Wolf. Here. Asia Philbin. Here. Claire Zucker. Here. Greg Canizaro.
Here.
Eric Sulwall.
Here.
Kirsten Wangsvik. Here. Matt Mathewson.
Here.
Scott Oldendorf.
Here.
And we have a quorum. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead to the virtual meeting reminders for today. Please mute your microphones. This will help ensure there's no feedback or background noises that may interfere with the speaker. If a committee member would like to speak or ask a question, please use raise your hand feature. And remember to lower your hand when you're done. When you're ready to speak, please unmute your microphone. This is especially important for votes. And don't forget to mute your microphone again afterwards. As a reminder, audience members are only permitted to speak during the call to the audience or unless called upon by the committee. And this meeting is being recorded to satisfy the open meeting law requirements. We'll move on with the Pledge of Allegiance. Just a second.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll have a call to the audience. Is anybody here from the audience who would like to provide a input? Hearing none, we'll move on to the safety share. And I understand from Scott that you have a safety.
I definitely have a safety share. I want to make sure everybody wears their seatbelts in their cars. Also, I want to make sure that your hands are on the steering wheel, and your passengers don't have anything obstructing any airbags or anything like that, because you never know when something will happen. I was taking my wife back to see her kids and grandkids, and just at 3:30 in the morning, outside 60 miles southwest of Wichita, Kansas, the welcoming committee was there. I met a large female deer, and it totaled out my car. Every single airbag went off in the car. It was a Subaru safety commercial, and even my wife was absolutely fine. The only injury that I had was that knee airbag that I didn't know existed. Came down to protect my legs, and that hit me pretty hard, but burned with the hot air gases. I always remember people always saying, put your hands on the steering wheel. Don't watch your fingers where you're putting your fingers, because when those airbags in the steering column go off, they go off, and it happens in a microsecond. You don't even see it. It's just boom, it's gone, and it's deflated. But you probably left with some broken fingers. I'm fine. I was doing it the correct way, but I realize every now and then I'm grabbing the steering wheel and it's not in the right position. So if an accident ever happened, you could mess up your fingers. So my safety share is always, you never know when something's going to happen. Always wear your seatbelt. Don't have obstructions that would hinder airbags being fingers or stuff that you have. And also keep an eye on your passengers too, because you never know when things are going to happen.
Wow, I'm so glad you're okay.
Well, I lucked out. I have a 17 Subaru Forester Touring loaded with all the bells and whistles. And I had it was a brown one with 91,000 miles. I found my replacement car in Denver, and it was exactly the same thing, 17 Subaru Forester Touring, but it's white for Arizona, and I had 23,000 miles on the car. So I came out pretty good, getting almost like a new car with low mileage again, but a good service contract.
Nice. Well, that's good. All right. Does anybody else have a safety share today?
I just want to throw one out there, because Steve Ritchie in our presence today, he looks a lot better. I know it's hard to believe, but he looks a lot better than he did a few days ago. He got attacked by a midnight bee. He was out at dark, believe it or not. He must have woken up or something, but it stabbed him in the eye.
Ooh.
And he showed me pictures. I'm sure he won't show anyone else, but his eye was all swollen shut, but it was like a delayed reaction. So that was kind of interesting, but we're glad you're okay. So even when, this time of year, you have more of the venomous pests and snakes and everything out. And I always say this for rattlesnakes, you're more likely to run into them at the latter part of summer, moving into the fall, because as the nights start cooling down, the snakes are heading to asphalt and concrete that holds the heat in. So you may find them in your driveway or on your porch or somewhere around your house. So just be careful about all those critters. Even at night, you're not safe.
Huh.
Sorry, Steve, I couldn't help.
So unfair. So, okay, I'm just gonna tell my bee story. I was in Tennessee, in the back of my yard where I grew up. And I have this trail, I was doing maintenance on the trail with my foot kicking leaves, and I hit the yellow jacket nest. And it swarmed me, and I had 20 bites,
Oh,
and I had to get on an airplane.
You don't run very fast.
I ran so fast that I didn't have 50 bites. And I had to get the car was coming to take me to the airport in 45 minutes. So I ran down to the Walgreens, and I told them what had happened, and they went to the shelf and got me liquid Benadryl. She said, take this now, and I did. So,
You fell asleep before you even got this.
I was so swollen with ice bags everywhere that I did not fall asleep, actually. I had Benadryl all day, did not fall asleep. So I'm just gonna echo your sentiment and also add that Benadryl is really critical to have in your house.
Yeah, the first thing, I mean, the yellow jackets were, so I took the Claritin instead.
Yeah,
And the yellow jackets are saying that's what you get for breaking and entering.
that's right. I broke their neck.
Like in last couple of months.
That was Saturday.
This week.
Yeah, I still have some.
You're looking really well.
Yeah.
I was so swollen. I'll show you pictures after the meeting. All right, we should probably move on to the rest of the meeting. All of you online, we're just like enjoying our injuries over here. Does anybody else have a safety share? I think we've covered a lot today. We've had an eventful, watch for wildlife in all ways, right? Okay, well then we will move on to the approval of the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes for June 26th?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Is there any discussion on the motion? May I hear a vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll have the minutes are approved. And now we're going to move to item H, which is the director's update in Jackson.
Already my turn, huh?
Yes,
All
amazing.
right, well, good morning, everyone. As always, thank you very much for donating your valuable time to participate in our interesting and exciting utility activities. I will give you a couple of quick updates. Some of them, I think you should be familiar with all of them, but they're just updates. First and foremost, we did get the recent user fee and connection fee, or as we currently call it, a wastewater utility fee. We've got those rates increased with the board. But also because user fees are going up or just went up 3%, we've reevaluated our sewer outreach subsidy. And we are going to the board on September 2nd with some modifications to the existing program. As you probably recall, the subsidy program allows individuals that are at or below the 100% level of federal poverty level criteria. They get a 75% discount on their user fees. If they're at 100 to 125%, they get a 50% discount on their fees. And if they're at 125 to 150, they get a 25% discount. Well, what we're doing is adding a fourth tier that goes from the 150% federal poverty level to the 200% level. And we've changed the amounts. So the original group one, highest subsidy that was 75% goes to 80%. The 50% goes to 60%. The 25% goes to 40%. And the new group in the fourth tier will get a 20% discount. We've worked with Tucson Water, who partners with us on this discount. So all of their customers also get the same reduction for their water bill for those that go through the process of getting qualified, which is a fairly simple process. But most people have to demonstrate, provide the information every year to renew. But those that are on a fixed income, like just Social Security or Social Security and a pension or something like that, they can get up to a 3-year period before they have to reconfirm or re-up, if you will. So we'll see what the board has to say on September 2nd. With any activity such as that, if the board approves it, it goes into place 30 days later. So October 2nd, all of those that are currently approved and on the first 3 tiers will just get a somewhat larger discount percentage. And then those that are in the 4th tier, are going to have to come in and certify or qualify. So that will take a little bit of time, but we will be doing a marketing campaign on steroids to try and reach out to as many people in areas as we can to make people familiar with the program. We also are going to we're working with Pima County Community Action Agency, and they believe they will be able to pull up the list of the last 6 months of people that didn't qualify for the 150% or lower. And so some of those may qualify for the, up to the 200%. So they're just going to send those people a little note to say, hey, maybe you'll qualify for the new tier that we now have. So come on back, come and see us type of thing. So it all is good. I'll wait and see what the board does, but our expectation is that the board will probably support that action. Tucson Water does not have to go to mayor and council. It's an administrative function, and they've already indicated they're good to go as soon as, and if the board approves it on September 2nd. But that's all I have on that one, unless there's any questions on it.
Any questions?
All right, I got more topics now. Let's go to the Sarita Regional Facility update. We've discussed it previously that we hired Kimley Horn as the program manager. We've assigned Craig Roberts, who's one of our senior project managers, to lead the effort of coordination with Kimley Horn and all the various firms that will be hired in the coming months. And Kimley Horn is busy outlining all the, balls that need to be juggled and all the activities that need to be handled. And like one of the first priorities is agreeing on and identifying our ingress and egress points to the 50-acre site. And there's like 3 potential ingress egress sites along Old Nogales Highway on the west side of the property, and 2 ingress egress points on Sarita Road to the south of the project site. And we hope to have one on Old Nogales Highway and one on Sahuarita Road. So 2 points, and one will be the primary and one will be a secondary. And all those decisions still need to be made, and we're identifying all the pros and cons. The ones on Old Nogales Highway are a little more complicated because they all cross the Union Pacific Railroad. So some extra effort there, but that's a key step. We're also trying to determine, how and what we want to be prescriptive or not with regard to the technology to use for the process. So we'll be meeting and having those workshops and discussions. And then finally, another one that's pretty important up front is what will be the capacity of the facility. And for the longest time, we were looking at a partnership with the town of Sahuarita. And initially, this is very preliminary. We were thinking it could result in that partnership that we would build an approximate 8 million gallon per day regional facility, of which they would be some percentage of partner and we would be a percentage of partner and pay respectively and all that. So we each had a certain amount of capacity. But the town has officially told us that they just wouldn't be able to financially be able to do it. And so they've backed out of it for now. But we are, and so because of that, and we had initially thought in our financial plan, we were showing the town as maybe a 25% partner. So 25% of the estimated capital cost they would pay for. So we didn't show it. But now that they've officially backed out, we're like, well, maybe we're going to reduce it down closer to 6 MGD. But we are talking with the town on some other possibilities that may still allow us to stay with the 8 MGD, and we'll have more to tell you about that. But that 6 to 8 is what we're looking is probably about the right area, but there's still some work to be done to fine tune it in our planning effort. And whether it's the lower cost 6 or the higher cost 8 will depend on an outcome from some activities with the town that should wrap up this month. I'm sorry, the month of September. We're still in August. So next month we should have that official answer, and then we'll know more or less what size we're going to go with. All right. Let's see. The Canoa Ranch pipeline update. I don't think anybody ever wants to hear about that, but I'll bring it up anyway. Right, Eric?
I wouldn't know anything.
So You know, I don't know, I don't want to call it the project from hell, but we've tried so many times to find a way to extend our pipeline service, to the Canoa Ranch site, which also there's some development, plans on the west side of the interstate there, Interstate 19. And we just run into one issue or the other, primarily with the ADOT issues, and the cost is just tremendous. But finally, after like our fourth attempt at a different route or plan, we got some agreement with ADOT, and we've been able to get the project back down closer to our original budget, and we are moving forward with the project. We have Kimley Horn doing the design, and they are now at the 90% complete. And so we're taking the 90% complete and moving forward. We're currently going to ADEQ to get our permits and pay our fees so we can start construction. We also are circling back with ADOT because with their agreement and cooperation, one thing is we will shut down that west side frontage road for approximately a year, if that's the final project timeline. And so we just want to make sure everything's still in place and aligned. And we're estimating that construction will actually start at the end of the calendar year. So that's the update on that one. And depending on how things go with that project and our whole capital delivery project, we're still going, it's not planned right now, but that's phase one of this extension that gets it to the, basically to the Canoa Ranch area and the development side, a little past it. Well, no, that's for phase one. Phase one.
Yeah.
And if we can find the additional money for phase two to take it the rest of the way to Arivaca Junction, which, the whole distance that we would need to fill is around 5 or a little over 5 miles. So phase one is about half of that, and phase two would be the other half. But it would be nice to do that because we could shut down the Arivaca Junction Lagoon, which we would like to do. We've been trying to close all our lagoons. And so we'll see, depending on how projects progress through this fiscal year, if we come up with that additional funding to go move forward now with phase two, we will. Otherwise, it will have to be budgeted for a future date, but we'll play that one as we go. With that, Eric, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. It's been a project that is consumed a large amount of time.
It has, and it hasn't even started yet.
That's right. You haven't turned the show.
But we're getting really close. All right. And
We have a question here.
Okay.
Okay, just to clarify, on Sarita, you're saying that Sarita financially couldn't afford it right now, so they backed out. So what are we paying 100%? And did you say the construction was gonna start at the end of the year?
No,
on Sarita?
no, construction will start at the end of the calendar year for the Canoa Ranch pipeline extension,
Oh.
sewer pipeline.
When does
So
Sarita kind of?
Sarita is still a few years out. Our expectation is that would be in service maybe in 2030 or 2031. So back a couple of years, between the time it takes to do all these other front end items and do the design and get all the approvals. We're probably talking about late 28 that we would wrap up or move into construction. So we're still a few years from that.
So, is Sarita gonna be participating at all financially?
That's some discussions we're having with them. There may be some changes that come about as a result of some decisions the town makes, which would probably result in us still building the larger size, the 8 MGD facility. And I'm saying 8 MGD, it could be 7 or it could be 8.3. We'll hone in on a little more exact number, but for discussion's sakes, we may still make the larger facility, but there would be some financial benefits from what the town is doing that would allow us to do that. If that doesn't happen, we would probably drop it down to a 6 MGD because that's really more likely all we need. And for a cost, we're not going to spend money we don't need to spend. So at this time, but some decisions to be made, and next month we should have that answer.
And lots of questions. Thank you. That was one of my questions, but follow-on question, we had heard, just what's gonna happen with the water was like on the table about a year ago in one of the meetings, just curious if there's been any further developments on where that
Yeah,
may go.
And I stopped, with just the items that I kind of put as these priority decisions, you know, ingress and egress and size of plant and all that. But another super important one that's on the scope of work with Kimley Horn to work through the details is the, what to do with the effluent from the project. And there's a lot of potential suitors and interest and needs and benefits. So we will identify all reasonable options and come up with pros and cons. And ultimately, I'm gonna guess it will be a recommended agenda item later today. Somebody might bring it up, Kirsten, or somebody else mentioned it also this morning, that we could share that, you know, just for feedback. But ultimately, we think that's something, we'll have a memo to the board sharing those options, because really it's what is the best interest of the use of that? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I already can tell you the mine's willing to pay dearly to get it. And so that's an option. And I love when people throw money at us. That's a good thing. But there are many other possible outcomes and benefits. So we're gonna package it up and say, what is the best interest of the community
Okay.
for this effort? And so to me, it would be a very interesting and topic this group should be aware of, especially because of your link with the various board members and most of your cases for being appointees of, you can have that conversation with them as well. So,
I wasn't necessarily going there, but good to hear that.
yeah,
Part of that conversation.
Yeah, that's great.
yeah. So that's where we're at on that.
Jackson, to switch gears, wastewater, we've been hearing in the news about, blue water.
Project Blue.
And data centers and everything and potentially using wastewater. It sounds like, Tucson is backed out, but Marana might be going in. So, what's, our role going to be in wastewater with data centers, wherever they may go?
Really, it doesn't change anything in our world. You know, right now there is agreements on who owns the effluent that our facilities produce. And in this Tucson Water, Pima County wastewater agreements from way back when, of this local, the lion's share of our effluent here in the metropolitan area, after Sawarsa gets about half of the current volume through a settlement through the Southern Arizona Water Rights Settlement Act, 28,200 acre feet go to them forever. Long Congress made that agreement. What's left? The city gets 90, Tucson Water gets 90%, and Pima County wastewater or Pima County gets 10%. So if anybody wants to use effluent, well, the group with the largest ownership or lion's share is Tucson Water. And so places like Project Blue or anyone would have to go to them. Plus, Tucson Water is the one that currently runs the Purple Pipe program of distributing effluent or reclaimed water. So they're kind of the place you go shopping for reclaimed water. But Pima County wastewater does, you know, we've been accruing credits for a while, and we do with our sub-regional facilities or non-metropolitan areas and our 10% ownership. We have a fair portfolio, and I know that the board is going to be talking more and more about how to continue getting people off of groundwater. And so like one conversation is, the Pasquayaki Nation has a golf course out near our Avra Valley facility. And we've looked at it before of putting them on reclaimed water, but very, very costly pipeline. But now there could be some grant money available and maybe find a way to do it. But we still would have to enter into some agreement with them. But we're gonna ultimately get some guidance from the board on how do they want us to push that, and, you know, what kind of, are we trying to make it a profitable business, or are we just trying to help benefit people to get off of groundwater? So really, we'll look for guidance from the board ultimately on those type of deals we would make. But Project Blues or anything like that would come, you know, the obvious first step is with the city or Tucson Water, because they have the most reclaimed and the existing infrastructure. But the county could participate on some level that, you know, we're a smaller player in that arena. The town of Marana is its own entity, and they have even less effluent or such water, reclaimed water, than we do. So they can play as well, but it just depends on how big of a need somebody may have. And in Project Blue, for instance, they're still, we're gonna hear about that for the time to come. And they're talking about different technologies on how they cool, and maybe they don't use water, maybe they air cool, and, it'll be more energy driven and stuff, but those are things that we don't bother ourselves with until somebody asks us to come to the table and, we looked at Project Blue from our own concern. The only thing that really stood out in our case was, the amount of salts or total dissolved solids that could come from their system, their chillers and stuff. We've never had that. It's not a parameter in a regulatory arena, but some places like City of Phoenix have some limitations, and we know what our TDS is currently, but if it was to go up, what might it do to the aquatic life in the river, or some of those things we don't know. So we're probably gonna embark on a little study just for future knowledge, for future Project Blues, or things that, could come to us that produce higher salts or things that we don't normally look at. So probably as much as I should say, I don't think that was an agenda item, but that should answer the question.
That's great.
Can I ask one more question?
Eric first. Eric,
Okay.
Eric.
In regards to Sarita and the plant, the town of Sarita, actually, I think it's Rancho Sarita, has their own wastewater facility. Is there any idea that they're going to expand that facility, or is it reached its maximum capability and we're gonna see more generated flow from the town of Sarita?
Yeah, in the discussions we've had with the town on their existing Rancho Sarita facility, it's kind of landlocked and pretty much at its capacity. And so they will just ultimately fill its capacity and have to go to some other facility, whether it's another facility of theirs or our facility. That's the part that we're trying to wrap up.
Make it attractive to them.
So stay tuned, but we'll make that a future agenda item as well.
And I don't see any questions online. We did have one more, Scott.
Jackson, going back to Sarita, the developing the process and capabilities and all that. The process, and we basically have two processes, sodium hypochlorite and UV. Which is the most cost-effective process to use if you're looking at the economics?
Yeah, so the disinfection is one unit process of many for treating wastewater. So that is one component of the question. Do we want to go with UV? Do we want to go with chlorine? Do we want to go with there are some other disinfectant possibilities, but those are questions we're gonna, at each unit process, we're gonna identify what is the overall technology and then the unit processes that fall out from it. Where there's options, is there any particular method or equipment or something that we think is better than another? And decide, are we gonna be prescriptive and tell the selected contractor and design firm, this is what we want? Or are we just gonna be more generic and let them determine what is the best value or bang for the buck? Those are the discussions we'll have. So I don't have an answer at the moment, but yes, those are the
What's our
topics.
historical record that we already have here? Is one process better than another?
We prefer disinfection with bleach. It's more reliable, and the UV is a lot of work and it's a fair cost of energy. And we used to have Randolph Park had UV, Marana had UV, and Aber Valley had UV. We don't run Marana anymore, and we shut down Randolph Park. So our only UV system is out at Aber Valley, and it's a lot of work. And we just had to put a pretty big reinvestment in the UV system. But probably we wouldn't go to UV in the future, more than likely. But still a discussion will be had, and we'll make a final decision if we prescribe.
All right. Good. And thank you for addressing Project Blue. We had talked last time about just getting some information about that. So if we could continue to
Sure.
sort of, not that you necessarily have, it's not necessarily impacting you, but it is really impacting our community. And we as members are asked about it. So it's really helpful for us to have some information
Yep.
on that. All right.
I have one more topic.
Oh, you do? Really?
Yeah, I didn't put it there just to throw you off and it's working. I can see that.
There's no D.
Well, this one is about you, Claire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you that,
Oh, yeah?
but, well, so let me just back up. So, I mean,
Oh, no, I'm out.
no, we'll take a vote later. You know, the RWRAC committee is very fortunate to have truly a tremendous group of, community leaders, subject matter experts, and people with distinguished careers and backgrounds that are on our team. And it's very helpful. We love the different perspectives and input and the relation that you all obviously, for the most part, have with respective board members to help be a conduit of communication and stuff. And so that's wonderful. But every once in a while, we need to recognize somebody. And I was recently reminded by the chair of the board and Rex Scott and his chief of staff, Kim Briggs she often is on our calls. She participates in the Grease campaign. And they reminded me of your illustrious career and your retirement that you're in the midst of.
I am.
And so truly, I just made a few notes to remind me, but, well, Claire's been in our committee since 2018, right? Does that sound about right?
So, that's why you
Yeah,
asked me.
that's why we were double checking. I thought you had some earlier involvement, maybe when you were with PAG or something, but
Well, I came all the time.
that's what it was. Maybe
Yeah,
that's where,
I came and I participated like a.
but then we put you in the hot seat. But, you had what, 22 years with PAG, you've had, I think over 10 years with the University of Arizona in the, water resources, research center. You had the WEES, all these acronyms like alphabet soup, but it was the Water, Environmental and Energy Solutions and Sustainable Research.
You don't know my biggest claim to fame, though.
Well, I was gonna talk about being a musician.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you my biggest claim later.
But truly, you are a very lovely person that has blessed us by being on our team, our committee, and we wish you the best in retirement. She's not retiring from our group, we won't let her, but from her lengthy career and most recent endeavors, we wish you the best and wherever the next chapter in life is. But I always threw in there that you are also a fabulous musician. But tell me what your claim to fame is, please.
Well, so I will say that, Jackson and Jeff and I went to a meeting and I had just gotten my concertina and
That's right.
and I had it with me because I couldn't part from it. And I think I opened it up and I played you
In the
something
airport.
in the airport, yeah.
And people were throwing dollar bills in the
Oh,
face,
yes, I can play it all day. But my biggest claim to fame is that I was on Jackson's hiring committee.
Oh my gosh, what a mistake you made. Don't tell people that.
Not only that, I was on Tim Tamura's first hire into the city. So, when you've been around long enough, do you remember that, Jackson?
I do.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, when you've been around a really long time, then they pull you in. I was at PAG at the time and they would
Yeah.
pull me in to be an outside person. And I remember you were very good and I'm really glad you got hired. So,
Well, thank you. I'm glad that payoff worked, No, I'm just kidding. This is recorded. I forgot.
well, thank you. That is just very sweet of you. I really appreciate it. I was
Yep.
just telling Jeanette, I've been really excited about retirement and just about 2 days ago, I got quite sad. It was like, it's very strange ending your career. But I did in anticipation of not wanting to lose my identity as, and my sort of like water identity or involvement. I did apply to be on CWAC. And so I was appointed to that. And so I am going to, what? So
Just which one you like better. We want to know.
I
already know.
I have to say that being on this committee is really, really great. I love knowing about water. And one of the things when I moved to the water center at the university from PAG, I became involved in statewide water issues, but not so much local. And that was when I came to this committee because I wanted to be engaged in my community. And as I moved into cooperative extension, I was farther from water, doing all kinds of other things. And as I end my career, I'm looking.
That part of your life.
I'm looking forward to engaging in water more and being more knowledgeable and being of service, as many of my fellow committee members are.
Yep.
Anne Marie has certainly given a huge amount. Jim DeWaz is on there, Matt Mathewson. I mean, a lot of us on this committee, Scott, a lot of us have spent a lot of time thinking about water, and this is a great way to stay engaged and help your community. So thank you for having me here, and thanks for recognizing me.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we'll also recognize Supervisor Scott and Kim Briggs on the call right now too, because they're the ones that shared the article to remind me that that was happening.
so nice. Thank you so much.
All right.
This has been a real kumbaya meeting. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So that
Not
was,
all this fun, Jim.
so that was the D item that wasn't on there, but,
Oh, that's great.
thank you. That's all I have.
All right. And now we'll move on to number 2, which is Jeff. Jeff's here to give talk about treatment division update.
Jackson told me it had to be exciting and not to bore you guys, so I'll do my best. Is there are you gonna change the slides?
I
Okay, you want to sit here, Jeff?
Okay.
Sit down.
Or you can even hit it.
Sure, thanks. What am I hitting?
This screen, just hit it.
Sure. All right, so I'm the deputy director for treatment division. Treatment division is probably wastewater's largest division. We have about 169 employees total. And that's broken out between administration. Trace Rios is our largest treatment facility. It's operated 24/7, so we do have 52 personnel there. And our sub-regional facilities, we have 5 of them. And that's another 22 personnel. Central maintenance is a big part of our group as well. They keep all of our facilities operating and running. 35 personnel. SCADA and INC, we have another 38 folks. They're the ones who calibrate all the instrumentation that we use, all the meters, probes, and then the SCADA programming. Our process optimization team, they're the ones who are involved in all of our construction projects, plans review, and that type of work. And then Belinda runs our business intelligence team, and they try to make sense of all the data we have. And what Belinda's been doing right now is gathering Power BI dashboards from bringing in financial aspects, our personnel aspects, laboratory data, just trying to make better dashboards and use our information. Then we have Agua Nueva next door, which is actually operated and maintained by Jacobs under contract. That's a 15-year contract. Next slide. So when you think of wastewater treatment and resource recovery, we primarily make 3 main products. Reuse water that we put back into the environment, whether it's for habitat restoration or beneficial reuse for other applications. Our biosolids, are the solids that we produce, they go out for land application as a fertilizer amendment. And more recently, we've been making renewable natural gas since about 2021. Prior to that, we used all of our biogas for heating needs on site or cogen in previous years when it was Ina Road, but now we're putting all of our gas into the natural gas pipeline. Thanks. So projects that are underway at treatment division. This is our Avra Valley facility. Biggest improvements we have underway, and Jackson just mentioned it, we did a disinfection upgrade. The UV disinfection system, we replaced all of it. It had been installed probably 16 years ago. It did undergo some damage in a flood we had a few years back in a summer time event. And so we started having more malfunctions on that system. So we upgraded the disinfection system, some more modern equipment just recently. I think they were finished probably about a month ago. Next slide. Yeah, and go back. Here's one important thing about Avra Valley. You'll see there's 3 bridges going across those 2 oxidation ditches. We have 6 rotors on each ditch here, so we can provide a lot of energy, a lot of aeration capacity. When I get to the Green Valley slide, you'll see it doesn't have that in a project we have underway. Next slide. Our Corona de Tucson project. This one's kind of interesting. So we've had this facility out way out past the fairgrounds, Preliminary Tucson. We've been running one reactor. We have two reactors out there, one MGD total, so each of them's half an MGD. We've been running on one ever since it was installed. We just our flows increased to the point where we need to have both of them in service. And so we just switched over, I think it was January of this year, we have both basins in service. And in doing so, we quickly realized we were lacking the aeration capacity to run too reliably. The header that supplies the air to both those reactors is compromised, just cathodic corrosion in the soil. We have leaks in that pipe, so we need to replace that. We're running 5 of the 7 blowers, and so we need additional blower capacity. And the chlorine contact chamber we had out there was only rated for 500,000 gallons. And so we need to upgrade the disinfection to 1 MGD as well. So we have a project underway, and we used, it's called a 1 GPA process, a government procurement process. And under state law, the capital expenditure has to be matched by the cost savings for these projects to go forward. And so this is the first instance that the county's ever used this delivery method. It's like a design build or CMOR. This performance-based contracting is a different design method. Jackson and I met with finance, we met with procurement, and we decided this was a worthwhile project to try to dip our toe in it and introduce a new delivery method for Pima County. And so this is underway right now. The area you're seeing, they're clearing to the right there of the treatment plant. That's going to have a large solar array footprint. It'll have 1 MGD disinfection area, improved blowers with VFDs and turn down turbo blowers, and a new aeration header. And we're changing out all the type of air diffusion in both those reactors so we can deliver more air and get better treatment. So that's a kind of fun project that's underway. And the way that it works is the capital cost has to be outweighed by the
Safety.
the O&M savings over the 20-year life of the project. Otherwise, the firm has to, every year we reconcile, if it uses more energy than they put it, they have to write us a check for the difference. So it's kind of it's a performance guarantee that we don't get with normal delivery methods. So this is our first venture into this. Okay. Next slide. Green Valley. Green Valley is kind of in a precarious situation because we're thinking of closing it and building that regional facility in Sarita. So what do you do in a facility like this? You don't want to invest a lot of money that's going to be abandoned in a few years, but it's a very nice facility that served us well. The difference you see in Green Valley, across that oxidation ditch on the left, you only see 2 bridges there. We only have 4 rotors there. So we're somewhat air limited. This is a 2 MGD ditch, but we've gotten permit capacity that we can hydraulically treat 2.8 to that ditch. And we need a little bit additional aeration. So my team, our process optimization group and the operations team out of Green Valley, they've been working for the last 2 years where we would take flow from those 2 round aerated lagoons on the right and shunt that water back over to the ditch during low flow conditions, kind of shed flow and use that just like we would do a swing zone in a traditional BNR operation. And it's worked quite effectively. Our big challenge right now is getting the ADQ to see it that way and not have to make major changes. But what we'd like to do is try to be less dependent on the lagoon system, use those aerated lagoons as a pre-treatment to kind of provide some energy and air, then move that water over the ditch. We produce Class A effluent, A plus effluent from the ditch. We'd like to try to maximize that through there, but we're going through ADQ's bureaucracy of red tape. That would be our goal to extend this facility to the 2030 time period until we can get this regional Sarita plant online. Next slide. So Jackson mentioned it, but this is just a snapshot. So ideally, this is the location where we call it the Southwest Regional Facility right now. We are searching for new names for the facility, but I'm afraid to do a competition because it'll be like, remember that research vessel that the Brits put out a few years ago? And the number 1 internet vote was Bodie McBoatface. We don't want to, so we need to be careful how we name this facility. But eventually you could receive flows from Arivaca, Green Valley, and the town of Sarita, all those regional facilities. So we get economy of scale, better treatment, and a regional that allow a lot of more development in that area for sure. And I don't know if Jackson mentioned, but our partners, our adjacent neighbors right there on that site is the Phoenix Zoo. And so that's another kind of partner stakeholder that we need to integrate. How is our facility going to integrate with what they're doing with the zoo as well? So next slide. Trace Rios, this is our largest facility. This is out at, Ina Road and I-10. It's our biggest facility, so this is where most of our effort and our investment goes into. Next slide. So this just came online over the last 6 months or so, just finished commissioning. This is a new odor control system we have at Trace Rios. Previously, our headworks remove a lot of H2S, that's the sewer odors that you typically smell. We use carbon, activated carbon to remove those odors. It's a huge expense. And when we change out that carbon and, we're right adjacent to a sports park and right along I-10 and Ina Road. And so at our Agua Nueva facility next door here, we use a different media. It's a biofilter, BioRem, and it has an irrigation system. It keeps the media moist. As the air goes through it, the bacteria that grow in that biofilter consume sulfur. And so they knock down that H2S odor. And so this is kind of a hybrid system. We like the performance of the one next door. It's performed very well for almost 12 years without any difficulty. So we installed the same thing here at Trace Rios. That'll lessen our dependence on carbon change out. It's going to improve the air quality. Our neighbors right next door, sports park, they're right along the fence line, right at our headworks, the most odoriferous part of the plant, and we don't get complaints. And then we do still maintain a few carbon vessels on the back end just for polishing. And so this is a real nice addition that we put there, but it's going to save us O&M cost for meter replacement and energy. Next slide. Environmental stewardship. So this is the project that we've been working on, and some of you that have been on this committee for a while, you remember that we had the Anamox pilot project here for about 4 years in the back. Alejandra helped me construct it when she was an intern with me. We ran that for about 4 years. We're constructing a full-scale one at Trace Rios right now. And you'll see we're building columns within an existing tank. We repurposed an old clarifier at Trace Rios. We're building a tank inside there, and this will reduce the ammonia level in our side stream waste. That side stream waste at Trace Rios, because we have a regional solids handling, almost 40% of our daily ammonia load is from our own side stream recycle waste. And so this process right there will take that ammonia from like 1,200 parts per million down to less than 200 parts per million, with using about 30% less aeration. And so the benefit of that is we'll be able to have fewer basins in service at Trace Rios, and we'll save at least 30% on our aeration demand, which is energy cost. And we'll get higher water quality. One thing that we're challenged at Trace Rios is we have an ammonia impact ratio in our permit, and that ammonia ratio is based on temperature and pH. Can't do much about the pH, but our temperatures are quite high, especially in summer. So Trace Rios in the winter time, our ammonia discharge limit's probably around 4 parts per million. In the summertime, it's less than 1. So it gets very challenging in the summertime to meet that ammonia limit. So getting rid of that 40% of our ammonia load with this process will help us achieve better, higher quality water as well. Permit compliance. Next slide. So rehab. We have 6 digesters at Trace Rios right now. We have these 2 large ones right here were put in 2013. There's 4 that were installed back in the 80s. We're in the process of adding a 7th digester right now, and we're doing rehab on some of those original 4-pack right now. Digester 4, we just removed the cover on it last week, and we're doing a rehab on that. We get a new cover on there. The covers are also, they float, so that's where we store biogas before we take it to upgrading to RNG. One neat process that we're going to install there right now is an alkaline thermal hydrolysis process. And Steve and I went and toured one in Kenosha last year, I believe. The benefit of this, you preheat the waste activated sludge before it goes in the digester, so it lyses the cells. So we get improved biogas production. It reduces the volume, so it reduces your sludge volume by about 50%. So by putting this process in, it's going to lessen our need to construct future digesters because we'll have more capacity, make better use of our existing capacity. We're also looking to change out from our centrifuges to screw presses, strictly because of the high dollar demand and high lead times to get our centrifuges repaired. Very expensive, very long lead times, and it's kind of become a bottleneck for us. And so we're putting in screw presses instead. Next slide. We don't always have sunny days. Sometimes we have a bad day. We were in the process of doing some upgrades on our RNG process in June, late June. And so we were doing an inert gas purge, and you'll see this header right here that's broken in two. It ruptured in one of our digester control buildings. Luckily, it ruptured when we had inert gas nitrogen through there, not when we were flowing biogas. It could have been an explosive hazard. But more alarming, the most alarming aspect of this is this was engineered and designed and put in place in 2013. This component that failed right there has a PSI rating 5 PSI. It was engineered and designed for a system that operates at 15 PSI. So this is kind of it was a liability, ticking time bomb waiting for an opportunity. Luckily for us, it happened during an inert gas purge. Nobody was injured. Damage was limited. This could have been catastrophic. So we haven't brought our RNG process back up online. It'll be down for almost 3 months because we're doing a complete thorough safety review, process hazard analysis. Because that original 4-pack of digesters were installed in the 80s, a lot of these are over 40 years old now. So we're doing a really thorough review, making sure that stuff that was installed is appropriate for the current uses that we're doing today, and that there's no potential other hidden skeletons out there that aren't fit for purpose. So we're doing that to make sure all our assets and our employees are safe before we resume biogas production for RNG. And we're having M3 Engineering in town is doing the third-party review, pressure testing all these systems, but we're doing a component review of all these things over the last 40 years, and Brown and Caldwell's helping us do that effort as well. So that'll be a future project, things that come out of this. We've prepared that already. We haven't brought the system back online yet, but we're gonna do it the right way and make sure that when we walk away, Jackson and I and Steve and everybody else, that the next 40 years, people are assured that it's safe and it's not a liability for the department. Next slide. So the research and innovation activities, this is the fun part that gets me out of the office. Who remembers, one more time. Who remembers these in your car? You're driving along, you get the check engine light. None of us knows what it means. You're worried, you got to take it to a dealership or go get a code reader. It could mean anything, right? Next slide. This is a pickup, hit it one more time. Here's a photograph from our F-150 Lightning, the electric Ford truck we have. It's got this huge touchscreen display. You can click on it and dig down and find just about any information. It doesn't have a check engine light. It pops on the screen and tells you exactly what's wrong. This level of sophistication has come along in the last few years. This is what we're trying to get towards right now. So this is a screenshot of one of our SCADA screens. And if you count the little pink pill boxes there, there's over 50 bits of information on this screen alone. And this is one screen. Next. And then, yeah. And so you'll see the drop-down menus at the top. So we have over probably 60 screens. And if they all have 50 data points of value there, we're looking at over 700 data points. Yeah, just keep scrolling through. 63 pages, over 700 data points that are in SCADA. Now that SCADA is reading everything, in every second you're getting a data point out of there, every few seconds. Combine that with our laboratory data, all the power meters and different things we have on site, all those sensors. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands of data points being generated every day. But it's useless information because nobody's got the time or ability to look through that data. So we're data rich, but we're information poor, right? And so this is what we feel like sometimes. You have all this information coming at you, but you really can't use it effectively. So what our solution is, we've all seen AI, ChatGPT, and how it's being used in different fields. We partnered with Palantir. They're the largest AI firm in the world. They mostly do government contracting and military work and banking systems, but they have a product called Foundry, and it's used in manufacturing, whether you're Caterpillar, John Deere, Ford. It's used on assembly line, stuff like that. And so they've adapted it for its factory. We're a water factory, right? And so we're adapting it for our use, and it consumes data, all those hundreds of thousands of data points, and it makes recommendations. And so Belinda's leading this project for us right now. We've had it in operation at Agua Nueva for about 3 years now on the energy side. In Delaware, we've been using it for disinfection. And then in Puerto Rico, they've been using it for preventative maintenance. And so the packages that we have here that we're implementing, we did a blew up ribbon panel last year with firms from WSSC Water in Maryland, Denver Water, Raleigh Water, and ourselves. And we went through 2 days looking what's the best implementation for this Trace Rios. And so we'll be implementing it for polymer chemical savings, disinfection savings and improvements, and energy savings. And Belinda will be leading that project with us right now, and we're just kicking it off this month. Next slide. And here's a fun one, Tucson Water. You may be interested in this as well. So right now, the current technology for moving PFAS in water is activated carbon or ion exchange. Works very effectively, but you're essentially taking PFAS out of the liquid stream, trapping it onto a solid media. Then that media has to be either disposed as hazardous waste, regenerated, if it can be, or incinerated, right? And so we're taking it from liquid form into a solid form, and then we still have to cope with it. What we're looking at is a different type of PFAS removal technology. And PFAS, we have it in our wastewater stream. It comes in a low parts per trillion, goes out in the low parts per trillion. Almost all the PFAS gets partitioned to the solid. It's hydrophobic, so it doesn't want to be in solution. It wants to be with the carbon. So it goes into the solids in our biosolids. But when we centrifuge those biosolids, that side stream waste that I mentioned before, that's 20% of our ammonia load. It's a high concentrated PFAS source within the planet. So if we're going to tackle that, economy of scale, we'll tackle the concentrated small volume stream. And what we're using right now, it's called foam fractionation. So we essentially make this high performance jacuzzi with a lot of air bubbles. It strips the PFAS out of solution. We capture that foam, we collapse the foam, then we can either dry it and dispose of it as a small solid waste. Instead of tons of carbon, we can incinerate it. We can electro-oxidize it or use plasma or something like that to destroy the PFAS once and for all, get it out of the loop. And so next slide. So we just took delivery of a pilot system from Ovivo. They're both back here at the West Center. We're doing training right now on the electro-oxidation portion. We've been making foam for about 2 weeks now. And so our utility partners, this is how exciting this is. It's the first mainstream treatment process for moving PFAS from wastewater. So our partners right now are City of Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, Peoria, Apache Junction, Flagstaff, LA Sanitation District, San Francisco, Denver Metro, and El Paso. Just starting. We haven't even begun yet. And already they've all signed on that they want to be a partner. So they'll be sending totes of sense right here while we build this database. But this is kind of exciting for our industry. It's the first attack of PFAS from a wastewater perspective. And so if we can break that side stream recycle loop, we'll see PFAS levels go down in the effluent, down in the reuse water, and hopefully down in the biosolids as well. Well, it's very, very neat. And we're hoping that it generates zero waste after we electro-oxidize it or incinerate it, that stuff. So it gets PFAS out of the loop. It's a very neat project. Some folks that use RO for treating PFAS, small systems where they can't afford the GAC and ion exchange, they'll use reverse osmosis, but then you still have that brine from reverse osmosis. And so they've done some work for brine reject using this foam fractionation, and it looks very effective. So it's another opportunity for us. Next slide. And that's it. Is that exciting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you what is the actual term for this foam side stream? Is it got a name?
Foam fractionation.
Foam fractionation. Okay.
So you're taking the PFAS out of the liquid fraction into the foam fraction. And then you've got a ton of foam, you pull a little vacuum on it, the foam collapses. Then you can either evaporate it and dry it, dispose of it as very small solid waste, it's concentrated.
Uh-huh.
A lot smaller volume.
Yeah.
What-
I just did, out of what you said, I couldn't, if I were to tell somebody about this, what
Yeah.
would I call it?
We're air stripping PFAS.
Air stripping into foam and then fractionating it into the foam and then reducing the foam into the solid.
Yeah, so when you're doing drinking water, if you're doing regular well water, it's not gonna foam very well, right? So you have to add a surfactant to it.
Uh-huh.
And so the longer the PFAS molecule chain is, it's more hydrophobic, right? So it jumps into the foam really easy. You get 96%, 98% extraction efficiency. The shorter chain molecules, they're more hydrophilic. They want to be in water more. But the PFAS molecule's got that little polar head on it, right? And so we're adding cationic surfactants that will attach to that little head and help strip it out of solution as well. The polymer that we use for dewatered biosolids is a cationic polymer. And it foams whether we want it to or not. So it's kind of a perfect marriage of this stuff. And we met them last year at WebTech and we said, have you thought about using this in wastewater? He said, oh, would never work in wastewater. We have to have such a huge system, you know, to treat 50 million gallons. I said, oh no, I'm thinking more of the side stream wastewater, it's a concentrated streaming. And they said, you know, you're on to something, how can we partner? So they gave us these systems and we just arrived here. The beauty of it, it comes in at 10, let's say 10 parts per trillion in our influent. Our biosolids are about 1 to 2 parts per billion, order of magnitude different. When we do the foam fractionation, it concentrates by 1,000-fold. Now we're in parts per million PFAS in the foam. It's a very small waste, you know, once you evaporate the water part. So it's very efficient. So this is a real fun project, and you just see the number of collaborators who want to partner with us. We hope this is going to be a huge hit, so.
Jeff, the side stream you're using is, I'm sorry, it's off of which the.
Centrifuge.
Centrifuge.
Yep, yeah. So, and for our project, I'd like to partner with utilities that have belt filter presses, they have screw presses and centrifuges. We'd like to get people that have different types of polymers so we can build this effective data. Because maybe you're like us who decided, you know, these centrifuges are just a money pit for maintenance and lead time. We're changing from centrifuge to screw press. Based on the results of this, let's say, just in my mind, I think belt filter press is probably going to be more efficient because as that mat builds up, you're probably going to capture more PFAS in the biosolids, not less in the pressing. And so maybe in the future, you know, 5 years, 10 years down the road, the other people that are in our position are looking to switch out equipment. They're like, you know, I could use a screw press, a belt filter press, or a centrifuge. But if this one's going to get me additional PFAS removal, maybe I want to purchase that technology. So it's going to be good for our industry.
And just so everyone knows, we are not required to treat for PFAS at this time. It may come in the future, but we're not required right now, but doing this type of work is great in case we have to, we'll know what we're gonna do.
Oh, it's really important.
Other questions?
Yes.
So, Tucson, what are the contracting vehicle that you said?
Performance based contracting using one GPA.
One G.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the cost comparison between this RO and,
Oh, she shouldn't have.
and the fractionation?
It's okay.
We don't know.
Okay, I was just curious if it's a lot.
So full fractionation though, so think about it. When you're doing RO, you have high pressure pumps. Right? You have a ton of backwash. Full fractionation, it's a high velocity pump and you pull the very full air. It's just machine together. It's a low pressure pump, high volume, low pressure pump, so it's gotta be a fraction of the pump, right? And you don't have the slightly nuts.
We had to discuss whether you could ask a question.
I know.
But you're covering for Johnson, so. Yeah. So I also was really intrigued by the use of AI. And, you know, right now there's a lot of discussion about AI and the good and the bad. And it was interesting to hear that you're able to potentially use it to really find out more information about these really complex systems. Many of us have been to the SCADA center and it's really overwhelming how much is there, so.
Yeah, I want to point out, it's not making just operational decisions, it's making recommendations in the sense of the operators. And it's think of it like Google Maps.
Yeah.
You're in your car and it's telling you, Claire, you can take this route or this route. You're like, no, that's not, I'm gonna go this way. You're making the decision, you're the one behind the wheel steering the car.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that. It's making recommendations every day, and the operators have to acknowledge it. They make the change, or they have to decline it and say, I'm declining it because of this, so we continue to get smarter. with the recommendation that's made.
That's great. Really interesting. Thank you so much. And any more questions for Jeff? No? Thank you very much. That was just great. We're gonna move on to the period 12 expense report and revenue summary by Isai Santana. Santana? Isai?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'll
Morning,
share my
morning.
screen here and we'll get on our way. I believe the screen, you can all see it?
No. Oh, there it is. Okay, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. Some changes here. So first and foremost, I want to bring the attention to this is a preliminary expense as of 8/13/25. We have to pretty much pick a date to cut off because data keeps coming in because people are working on accruals. So this actual expense revenues, I was changing every day. So we pick the date and hopefully next time we meet, I'll get you a more concurrent up-to-date information. So as of 8/13/25, this is the data. Adopted budget is still $104.8 million. Our projection as a period 10 still 100.36, giving us a projection variance of 1.1, and the actuals at that date is $98.6 million. Scrolling down here to the total O&M expenses, including the contracts, depreciation, debt services, our budget 103.4, actuals at 170.4 at that point, and projection of 181.6. As you can see, our list capital contract has not been processed yet, so there's a lot of things still kind of missing in this process. So that giving us with a variance of $100.7 million. Scrolling down to the total revenue, $199 million. Our actuals 185.3, and our projection is 199. We're giving us a variance of about $6,000. As well, we can see that the capital contribution is still in process to be in a process. So with those information still missing, we're still projecting that we're going to be coming under budget. And overall, Wastewater has done a great job using this the revenue and total all expenses to accomplish all this tasks that it has accomplished. I believe Mr. Matt has his hand up.
Matt?
Yeah, thanks, Isai.
Sure thing.
I got your comments about still having data in the pipeline that needs to be worked, but
Correct.
a couple of things kind of stand out here, and the kind of the differences between actuals and what you're projecting are pretty significant. Like the supplies and services, there's like $4 million difference between what's actual as of the middle of August, 6 weeks after the fiscal year ends, and what you think it's going to end up as. And then the depreciation was like $9 million difference. And the utility fee on the revenue side, you got a $2 million difference there. I'm just wondering, is this normal way to see the numbers coming in, and what's going to happen in the next 2 to 4 weeks that allows you to hit those projections?
A good question, Mr. Matt. One of the main reasons, and no, this is not normal. What is one of the biggest changes is we changed new ERP system. This is the first year closing our fiscal year in the new ERP system, and there's a lot of process that we used to have in place that will help us streamline and make things a lot smooth and get information and reporting at a faster pace. And unfortunately, with a lot of moving parts to this new system, our counterparts in different areas in the financial are having some difficulties closing, getting all the information. One of the biggest one is the contrast, but also the accruals. We're trying to accomplish. Some accruals are still trickling. People are still turning in accruals, and that's slowing down the process of a lot of data being put in here in black and white. And that's why, I had to select a date where I had to just pretty much stamp it, and so this date is what it is. And we're still hoping to come in roughly what we projected. So overall, we can see the cycles in the past years, and that's what we projected, what we have compared to prior years as well.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Matt.
Any other questions? No? Ryan. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll move on to item 5, sorry, 4, which is the financial subcommittee report. Kirsten?
The subcommittee did not meet.
Did not meet.
We'll take nominations for when we should meet. That's. Or to them, it's already in the calendar.
It's not on the calendar. I believe Doodle is gonna be sent out in September,
Okay.
with proposed dates.
Proposed topics too.
We had some from last year that we were gonna cover in the fall, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Subcommittee.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much. And then the CIP subcommittee report, Asia. I saw you on there.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, hey, good morning, everyone. I apologize. I thought I had my notes here with me from our last CIP meeting, but I do not. Jeanette, can you help me out with the date that we met?
July 14.
What he
Okay.
said.
Yes, okay, thank you. We met July 14th and we discussed the longer range, longer term CIP projects, some of the things that Jackson actually talked about, and yep. I'm just still flipping through.
When are you gonna meet
Wait.
again?
Sorry about that. We plan to meet again. We'll schedule that for the probably December or January. We talked about like looking at how the schedule for the budget approvals aren't going to need to happen. So we would meet earlier if needed, and afterwards if we don't need to do that. And Amory, I see, came up with your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I don't have my notes with me either, but during the summer meeting is when we review the 5 and 10-year capital improvement plan, which we did. So as Asia said, we actually talked about a lot of the things that Jackson mentioned this morning, but we also looked at all the development that's happening out along kind of Old Spanish Trail in that area, where there's a lot of housing going and needs there. We talked about the new facilities, and we always review all the current capital improvement projects, including and the costs, and looking at what's might be coming up in 5 years and what might be coming up in 10 years. And 10 years is kind of hard for the department to really state, but we take a look at all of that. So we felt pretty confident with what we were shown, and a lot of it we've discussed here already. But this actually, I believe in our committees, I don't want to call it charter, but is that it is one of our responsibilities to look at those 5 and 10-year capital improvement plans. So we reviewed that and had a great discussion about what's coming up. No surprises that we know about, although we did mention, and Jackson mentioned it today, the PFAS, we aren't sure what's going to happen with that. If that could significantly increase or impact the department, although the latest news I think today coming out is sounds like EPA is not going to regulate it, so it probably won't impact the department. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else on the committee wants to throw anything else in, but that's what my memory from the meeting.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Emery.
Emery. Appreciate it.
We have one more comment here from
I
Scott.
think oh yeah, I just wanted to add, I think we suggested that Javier would be presenting to the full committee a few things that we would, that were of interest. So we will get that into the schedule and work with Claire on that. But Scott, did you want to add something?
Well, I got a few notes here. I can be dangerous with these notes here. But I wrote down notes that it's about a 62 to 63 million dollar a year for the CIP for the year 25, fiscal year 25, 26. It was 55 million a year, but now it's 63 million with the Sarita project, which should span over about 5 to 7 years, and then go back to the 55 million plus inflation for these years. And then, as Jackson had already covered about the project managers and the engineers and all that, and they said design was going to take about a year and a half. And so those are just some of the little notes that I had here. Hope I did them right.
Right.
That's great, Scott. Yeah, I think that one of the things we would like to hear Jaime talk about is the change in that year-to-year capital budget and kind of where it's sitting versus where it was in the past. Even, it's been climbing, I think, from 45 even up to closer to 55, 60. So, and then as Emery said, there were no big surprises. So it did seem like that mandate for the committee to be keeping an eye on, just what's coming, the bigger picture expenses that might come down the road. There are still a lot of uncertainties though, like with PFAS and Sarita and things like that, that are part of that budget. So, and we will be meeting as we typically do for the budget approval cycle in December or January.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Asia. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the Citizen Water Advisory Committee report. And then Alan is not here.
Alan is not here and he is not online. He was unwell.
Oh.
So.
We don't have a report this time.
Oh,
Jim, they did not. Yeah, they didn't meet. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
It just started, just resumed.
Excellent. All right, and so we'll move on to item I, which is future agenda items. And I had a thought, which is, oh, yes, did you have something?
Are you going into future
Yes.
agenda?
Yes, would you like to
Yeah,
offer one?
as earlier, and Kirsten and I will probably be some of the focal point, but with the development of the new wastewater facility in Sahuarita, there are a lot of people that all want to get their hands on that effluent. And, I am really challenged by it. And I want to see that process provide that area, which is really the sub-AMA of the Tucson AMA, south of the Pima Mine Road, to get the majority, if not all, of that effluent water into the aquifer to provide a net zero capability. I am very strongly on that. And I know there are a lot of stakeholders that are going to want to have their hand up for that meeting. I think it would be important for this committee to take a good, hard look at it and then produce, as Jackson has already stated, pros and cons and how we can move forward with that, with that process.
So you're suggesting we have a presentation on the Sahuarita Regional Plant effluent use.
Mhm.
And, I don't believe this committee has generally created pros and cons. Generally, the department would come up with something and we might give our approval to it or.
Exactly. But, you know, we might have to hear from the stakeholders. You know, you're gonna hear from the mining industry, you're gonna hear from the water districts, you're gonna hear from,
Indian Nation.
the Indian Nation. You know, there's a whole variety of groups that are all vying for this. And how we work it out is, you know, is gonna have not an effect today, but a long-term effect down the road.
Right.
And yeah, I'd like to get the best bang from our buck. I'm not so sure money is the best bang.
Yeah,
Right.
all the interested parties can lobby for the effluent by taking Jackson to lunch and having a conversation.
I need to come so I can take notes.
Yeah.
Don't you mean a resort weekend or something? I mean,
Lunch would be fun.
raise those stakes. Okay, I also thought, that, you know, we did the tour of the Ina Road plan. I wonder if we might sometime this year do a tour of Tres Rios.
Ina Road is Trace Rios. Which one did you, oh, you went to Agua
We
Nueva?
went to Agua Nueva,
Oh,
yeah,
that's right here though.
Yeah.
It's not in a road.
Yeah, Trace Rios, sure, Ooh, no problem.
yeah, and we haven't gone to that one.
Nope.
I'm not,
Not recently.
It's not recent. If I gave you the tour.
yeah, I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that might be a good thing. I was
Sounds
confused.
good.
with her. Oops. Anybody else have a thought for future agenda items? No?
I just wrote down that we'll continue periodic updates on AWP and what we're doing with Tucson Water. We'll, talk about PFAS as we hear of any regulatory changes or direction.
Mhm.
And-
Yeah, the Sahuarita effluent and a separate topic, the Sahuarita project, because it'll be
Right,
ramping up.
right.
Canoa Ranch project, because there's been an interest in it. It does have some other ramifications. Those are the additional ones I put in there.
And any ramifications of the Project Blue discussions,
And
which are, is that on your list too? Yeah. Not that, we understand that that's not a major thing, but just so we have.
if we get pulled into any of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else from anybody else on the committee?
Asia's hands.
Asia, it's your hands up.
Oh. Yeah, thanks, Claire. I was hoping we could also have Jaime come and just put all of those things you're talking about into the context of the CIP. I think that's worth the committee, you know, kind of seeing that. You know, not necessarily the extended presentation that we look at as the CIP subcommittee, but yeah, just the overview.
I believe he
Is it scheduled?
He does, we do have in November, long-range plans. Potentially PAD, Pima Prospers, stuff like that. We can include that in there. Does that sound acceptable?
Perfect. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Jaime, will you be available in November to give kind of an overview of the CIP?
20th.
It would be November 20th. Okay, perfect.
All right. Okay, so we'll move on to, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to item J, which is called to the audience. Oh, look, there is one. Kim Briggs. Yes.
Thanks. I was driving when I just wanted to say congratulations, Claire, on your retirement. Sad and happy at the same time. U of A's losing a great person. And thank you, everyone, for all you do. Rex calls me a wastewater groupie because I love all that you guys do. I am a daughter of a plumber, so maybe that's part of the reason that I love all that you guys do. But anyway, thanks a lot for all everybody does, but congratulations, Claire.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. That's really sweet of you. Gosh, I feel so celebrated, guys. Good. Oh, okay. Does anybody else want to say something nice to me? Just, you know.
So a few months ago, I was helping my stepmom, Tom, with a computer problem, his email, and in there I see Claire Zucker, and I went, you know Claire? He goes, oh yeah, me and your mother go way back with Claire.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so I had found out that just like the week before, Claire recorded some Irish drum on a new track that my stepdad is making. He's a music producer and singer-songwriter here in town.
Yeah.
So turns out that there's another connection in that group, and they have nothing but good things to say about it.
It was really fun. He's great. And Emmy has known my husband since grad school.
Wow.
So, you know, which was it a few years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, just yesterday, right? If you live long enough, you know a lot more people. Anyway, well, that's really nice. Yes.
I don't know you, so I don't like anything, but it sounds like you're a lovely person in every way. My name's Julie. I am the new community or constituent, whatever the new title for Supervisor Cano. So I would like to be, and I didn't bring a card because I'm not used to it, but I will next time. But I'm so impressed. I'm from Tucson. I was an educator for 32 years before. I worked for the city of the Tucson House for a couple of years, and then now I'm doing this, which I am loving, and just learning from the inside how many brilliant and just caring stewards we have working for our land and our water, and I'm just so impressed with everything today. So thank you for everything that you do, and thank you, hopefully, for allowing me to be here at your meeting.
Welcome to the committee.
Great. Excellent. So nice to have these connections.
I'll get with you after the meeting if you have a
Yeah,
moment.
I just have my name tag. I didn't bring my card, so.
Perfect.
Next time.
Hi, well, what a lovely meeting. Any other call to the audience? All right, well then I'll call for adjournment. Do I have a motion? Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next month. Then have a good day. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sarah. Congratulations. Bye.
You're welcome.
So is Jim on the? Jim Dubois?